Techno-commercial buyer, one of the highly paid and respected position in an organization, because they are authorized to deal with external parties on behalf of organization. They are authorized to represent the organization, discuss and take decisions about the cost and contract, direct involvement in the business and profitability of the organization. If you are a buyer in a supermarket, for example, only the commercial knowledge is expected out of you, because the products which you are dealing with, most are branded products and standard products. But if you are a buyer in an engineering industry or manufacturing industry, the products which you are dealing with all are customized products. Say for example, you are a buyer at Tata Motors and you are buying certain engine brackets, engineered product, and glass or it's a plastic or sheet metal. All these are engineered products and customized for your product. So a technical knowledge and commercial knowledge both are mandatory to get into such position. So how to become a successful buyer and what are the skills required? Let's see. So what are the skills required to become a successful techno-commercial buyer? Let's talk with respect to an example, and the same example and the flow you can maintain for any commodity which you're working for. Let's take one example of a bracket, an iron bracket. So if you are authorized to purchase this iron bracket, you should know the application of this. This is the bracket and where it is used. This is used on the to mount the engine on the chassis. So this is the application of this product. And out of what raw material this is made? Cast iron. Why cast iron? Because it needs strength. There are so many grades in the cast iron. Which one out of this is used? We are using a spheroidal graphite iron, ENGJS 507. So where 500 represents the tensile strength, that is 500 Newton per mm square, and 7 represents the percentage of elongation. Why not grey cast iron used for this product? Because the grey cast iron has a lesser tensile strength and this is application that carries a lot of load. There is impact strength, there is fatigue strength on this. Because every time the vehicle moves, this bracket takes certain load. Okay, now you are clear on the raw material and the grade used here. And how do you find the prices of these grades? And there are different standard raw material indexes followed. They will have the updated pricing of raw material and their grades. So there are so many grades internationally accepted. Out of that, you have to discuss with your supplier with respect to, that depends on your grade, that depends on your raw material. So which raw material index you are going to choose. There are London Metal Exchange, there are cost masters, there is MME, there is Siam index. So you should find out which index is suitable for your application. You should know which are the major raw material suppliers for this product globally. You should also have the process knowledge. When you get the raw material to convert this to a final product, what are the process followed? Say for example, first for this there is a melting process happens, and after the melting process it will be loaded to a molding machine, and after the molding process it will go to a shot blasting machine to remove the excess sand and excess bark, and then it goes to a fettling machine to cut the excess materials, and then it goes to a machining station where the milling operation happens. So there are different process followed and different machines used. Now we have a good understanding about the raw material used, why this raw material used, the grade is used, and what is the price of this grade. And you also know about the process flow. Now you should also know about the cost. You should be able to calculate the approximate cost of this product. For that you should know the part costing. It's very simple. I'll explain. So you know the raw material cost because you know the raw material grade and you have the index. So easily you can find out what is the raw material cost. You should also consider a fact that if 1 kg, for example, raw material is required for a product, probably more raw material should be poured in, considering the wastage. Next is the process cost. To find out the process cost, as I said before, there are different machines used, and you should know the machine hour rate of each machine. Machine hour rate is nothing but what is the price to use that machine for 1 hour. That is the machine hour rate. Different machines will have different machine hour rate. And you should also know until what time your part will be utilized by that machine. For a molding operation, your part will go into the machine for 1 hour or 10 minutes or 10 seconds. So based on this, based on the cycle time. Cycle time is nothing but to how long the part will be with that machine. So with that machine hour rate and the cycle time, you will be able to calculate the process cost under each process. Then you should consider overheads. Overheads is nothing but the indirect cost, such as the indirect labors, the administrative cost, accounting costs, or all kind of documentation charges, the maintenance cost, the salaries of the employees. Everything will come under the overheads. Next is profit. Any company should have profit. A profit of 7 to 15% is considered most of the cases. Packaging and transport cost. Packaging cost depends on the kind of packaging and the transport conditions. So for example, if the transport condition is from one country to other country, a more complex packaging is required. If it is a local transport, more simple packaging would be enough. Transport cost depends on the kind of Incoterms agreed between the supplier and the buyer. There are so many standard Incoterms, such as for example X-Works and DDP. So if it is X-Works, the buyer is responsible to go and pick the part from the supplier's location. If it is DDP, the supplier is responsible to deliver the part to the buyer's plant. There are different Incoterms which you can read online. Tax. You should know the taxation point of it. If the transport is within the same country, only GST is applicable. But if you are importing from a different country, the import duty is applicable. The duty depends on the kind of commodity, the kind of raw material which you are using. So there are even certain commodities which doesn't have any import duties or export duties. There are certain terms which you can read online, because I don't want to spend time completely explaining those which are already readily available. Letter of credit, credit limit, credit note, debit note, payment terms, Incoterms, GST, bill of entry. If you are designated to work with any supplier, you should know their business, about their capability, their capacity, their technology. You should know the supplier evaluation and supplier selection point of it. If the supplier is, first check whether the supplier is a certified supplier, ISO certified or IATF 16949 certified. If they are certified, to what extent they are following this, they are sticking to these requirements. What is their quality policy and quality control process? Do they have an alternate production facility in case of emergency? Are they working on continuous improvement and internal cost reduction activities? With your quality counterpart, you need to also conduct a process audit at supplier. That should define right from the incoming of raw material to final dispatch, what are the process followed? How are they ensuring the quality of the product? You should also have a good negotiation skill, good data analytics, good communication skills, good interpersonal skills, and problem solving skills. As the name suggests, techno-commercial buyer. You should have a good understanding of technical cost reduction and commercial cost reduction as a separate aspect. Technical cost reduction may be proposing an alternate raw material with a lesser cost, or eliminating a process which is not required, or eliminating certain kind of test which is not required without affecting the final usage of the product. You don't have to do it alone. You can invite for a workshop with supplier, with your engineering team, with your quality team, and then generate ideas for technical cost reduction. How well the design of this product can be optimized to get the maximum output and reduce the cost. And commercial cost reduction, it's a different aspect. The design of the product is not changing here, but based on the increase in the volume, how well the supplier is able to give us the reduction. Because the more business he is winning, he should be able to reduce the part price. Check how well you can optimize the packaging and transport. So having additional warehouse and testing station will reduce or optimize the transport condition. Check your supply base. If you are importing too much, why can't you develop a local supplier who can deliver the same part with a lesser cost? So when you are working on any commercial business case, the ROI is important, the return of investment. For example, supplier is agreeing to reduce the cost from 100 rupees to 80 rupees for a product. But he says, I need to buy a new machine and where I need 1 lakh investment. So how do you find if this case is good or not? That will depend on the volume of the product. If the volume of the product is 10,000 for 1 year, and for one product you are reducing the price by 20 rupees. So the profit you are gaining is like 2 lakhs at the end of 1 year. That means the investment of 1 lakh will come back to you in just 6 months. This is a good business case. At the same case, if your investment is about 2 years or 3 years, this is not a good business case. As a techno-commercial buyer, this will be your major responsibilities and KPIs. One is the savings, the cost reduction, yearly cost reduction. How much savings, how much percentage of savings you are able to bring in. There will be a target set as well. Delivery performance, 100% delivery performance for all your suppliers. Quality performance of your suppliers. Timeline for sourcing and order placement, and lead time for delivering the parts. This also will be added to a KPI. PR to PO conversion, purchase request to purchase order conversion time. This has a lot of activities in between. So considering all those, are you able to meet the timeline? You will be responsible to negotiating and signing the contract with the supplier. This is not very easy because the kind of clauses that you have in your contract, the supplier might not agree for that. But your legal team, that has to be signed. So your negotiation skill, interpersonal skills and stakeholder management skill is very important to bring in your legal teams and the supplier legal team to one page. ECR and SICR, engineering change request and supplier initiated change request. You are responsible for this. For example, one of the product is running and engineering come up with an optimized design, a change in the design that has to be implemented at the supplier without affecting the production. You should also convince supplier to take up this change without much addition in the cost. SICR, supplier initiated change. Supplier also might come up with change request. I want to eliminate a process or I want to deviate a process. Or I should find a new process which should be added here. So in that case, you should be able to convince your engineering team, bring them in one page and implement this design without affecting the production. So just to summarize things, before I go for the certification requirements, you should know the product and the know-how of the product, where it is used, what is the application. You should know the raw material, the grade, how to find the prices of these grades. You should know about the process flow. And for all those process flow, you should calculate the process cost by cycle time and machine hour rate. And you should consider the overhead, the profit, the packaging condition and transport condition in Incoterms. With all this, you should be able to come up with the approximate cost of the product. On the other side, you should know supply base, their capability, their capacity, their technology. There are so many internationally valid certifications that you can take. CPP, Certified Purchasing Professional. CIPP, Certified International Procurement Professional. SCPC, Supply Chain Procurement Certificate. You can take this certification even if you are at the entry level. All these certificates will be an added advantage, but the experience and the strategy in the purchasing you're using is most important in any interview. Please subscribe and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.